Okay, so when we last left off, you guys had hooked the mules to the cart, backed the cart up to the temple, and started loading stuff on that you had gathered in the catacombs. Is there anything that you'd like to do right now?
I'd love to look inside of that box I picked up a while ago and see what's in it.
The box is locked.
Well, okay, I'll just keep hanging on to it.
Not going to try and unlock it?
I have no idea how to try and unlock it.
Well, are we going to keep for a bit after, or are we going to go straight away? Because if we're going to keep for a bit, I can always give a little bit of a knock on it.
Ooh, well, I think we kind of need to have a decent sleep after this, but if you're able to try that, that would be great.
Okay, Ryan, I'm going to use knock on it.
Knock works. It opens up.
I flourish a bow and say, "Milady, after you. Take a look at your goods."
Thank you. What's inside of it?
Inside, you find 3 large gemstones nestled in velvet, and each one has a small label in front of the spots where they're housed. There's a transparent dark green alexandrite called Dark Forest. There's a transparent pale blue-green aquamarine called Heart of Water. There's a transparent golden yellow topaz called Heaven's Light.
Ryan, are they in Inowin stones?
If I pick one up and release it, does it float?
No.
Okay.
Too bad. That would have been nice.
But this kind of sounds like some of the things that we might be investigating too. Transparent golden yellow sounds a lot like the sun god Heaven's Light. Maybe this will be handy later.
I would definitely keep those safe. Kitiera, can you identify anything about them? Or is that going to take some time?
I don't have identify.
Oh, sorry, I thought you did.
Is there any possibility of me using either Arcana or Religion to see if I have any handle on these actually having an ability or purpose?
You can give me a religion check, or if people want to give a history check, that's fine too.
I don't know much, but I could try.
I notice they're hard with a 5.
Yep.
I'd like to make a religion check on them as well.
I made a history check.
Yeah, mine was history.
Actually, these relics are so old, and you've never heard anything about them in any sense of history or religion for any of you.
Fair enough.
Since we're looking at the box, I'll also take a look at the runes on the sword I took.
Okay, so the 2 runes that are on it, one says power and one says light.
Power and light. That's interesting.
May I also take a look at the arrowheads?
They just look like regular arrowheads, although they are blue in color, but you can't get any idea of like the properties of the arrowheads just by looking at them.
Fair enough.
Okay. Well, we can't do much to identify them right now, but if that's all we can do, I'm also going to spend some time making sure we have blankets and things from the temple, because we were lacking those last time we came out. And I want to ask everyone, are we going back to the city, or are we going to Daystar Lake? And do we want to rest before we go?
I'd also like to caution everyone that we should all take a look at our loads and see what we can offload into the cart that we don't need on us.
Yes, certainly. I think we should rest before we leave. I think we should make sure that we take whatever we can find a use for from the temple. There is no one here anymore. So whatever is here that we might be able to use, we should bring it with us.
Well, if you recall down when we found the entrance to the catacombs, there were some chests with gold or treasures at least that you might want to pick up, since apparently we lost something.
Yes, let's bring those. Let's raid the linen closets for whatever we might be able to.
Keeping in mind those stone tablets of yours might be a little heavy for our mules already.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but is Tempus still feeling a tad under the weather that we noticed?
He drank a bunch of snow So he's feeling better, but he's definitely still much thirstier than he usually is.
Maybe we should get a bucket that we keep filling up with snow so that it'll melt so he can drown his thirst.
That's probably a good idea. Not hurt.
So offload whatever is weighing heavy on your shoulders, and then we'll prioritize something to carry water for Tempus, blankets, and supplies like that, and I guess the treasure we left behind.
Now, you'll have to excuse me. I feel like a big dummy, but I just realized I do have one last shot at identify. Is there one of the 3 stones you're more interested in than the others that I could give the old tap to before nappy?
I also am fairly injured. I might have a preference for that.
I think it would be better you fix a few of us.
Well, I do have healing word.
I could use it.
I could use a whole conversation.
All right, let me concentrate. I think I've got the tune set up. Okay, so that is 7 hit points to everybody.
Ooh, nice.
Now, oh, wait a second. It's only one person.
Take care of Yaereene, that's fine.
All right.
Thank you.
What do we all have for equipment? Does anybody have any healing potions? I do not.
We have 3 mystery red potions from inside the catacomb chests, if you recall. We haven't identified them yet, though. They could help, or they could be worse than we think.
Well, I could do some identifying later, but then that'll leave me lacking when we get into combat.
I would say we hold on to things, and if you have extra at the end of the next day, use it then.
I think that's very wise, lass. Thank you. Now, we're a bunch of elves here, and I have that elf cocaine, but at the same time, do we really want to risk using it?
I also think we wait.
You see Katir kind of looking distracted, patting his pouch and kind of scratching his chin and then shaking his head and just...
Ysmyr didn't smell that stuff. Like, she can't smell it, so she doesn't know whether it'll help her or not.
I say we wait.
All right, so are we going into the temple and doing the thing? And then assuming Tempus is with us and assisting?
Yep, that's fair. So inside, you do find a couple of blankets. There's not a lot of equipment in here, as it was just a couple of people living here. But there are the fine elven wine glasses. A couple of them have survived. There's also a couple of bottles of the elven wine that are still shut. And there's a whole pile of religious texts scattered throughout the place. That's about all that you've found, I think.
I'd like to take the history book that I found.
I was going to mention I want to loot all the wine and booze I can.
Okay. Yeah, there's, like I said, there's 2 bottles of the fine elven wine that's really old.
Now, when you're saying the books and all that, can we see what tongues they are in? Are they all elfish, common?
Mostly elven and common as well. They tend to be copies of the same texts to Corlin, the god of the elves.
I want to start taking a look through the texts, and I want to take as many unique works as I can find.
Okay. For the texts, you will take away one of the holy books for Corlin. There's also one for Foltus, and there's some elven literary reading as well. There's 3 texts that Jean Delar had that were his own personal books. Yaereene, you take a look at that history book that you picked up in the schoolhouse?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Okay. So it has 7 chapters in it, outlined at the start. Chapter 1 is about the Dwarf Wars. Chapter 2 is Vile Magic and the Orcs. Chapter 3 is the Orc Wars. Chapter 4 is the Canopy King. And in brackets, somebody has penned in Oathbreaker. Chapter 5 is Light, Dark, and Storm. Chapter 6 is Godless. And Chapter 7 is Corlin Larethian.
This looks really interesting. I'd like to read this whenever I have time immediately, because some of these are very relevant to what we were just experiencing.
Now, this is in Elfish?
Yes.
When you're done with it, I'd love to take a look at it as well.
Of course.
Same here. And if you were mentioning the chapters to us, I'd also like to take a look at the slabs that we're going to take with us when we leave as well. I'd like to actually read what's on them, if I can.
Sure thing.
And depending on if there's anything else, are we just going to take a rest before we leave, guys? Or are we where are we go? Or are we leaving and where are we going?
I think we need to rest.
I think we need to rest, but the question is, do we try and barricade ourselves in here against those filthy undead? Or do we try and get away and kip when we reach the end of the day?
I would suggest that it would be easier to barricade ourselves in here.
I think it'll depend on where we're going. If we're going to town, then we're going to be sleeping on the way anyway, and we can make some progress. If we're going to the lake, I think that's 2 or 3 days away, in which case we might as well start fresh.
Why would we go back to town?
I'm a little worried about zombie attacks and the people we left behind.
We had them on alert.
That doesn't mean anything.
You have a point.
Ysmyr, we can't be everywhere and do everything. I'm concerned about the timeline. I think we need to get to the next place and do that thing because I fear time is running out.
If we go back to town, that puts us an extra day's journey, and it will take longer to get back to the lake.
All right, fine. As long as we're decided.
I'd like to know that Mother is well, but we did what we could for the town. We've alerted everyone as to what's going on. We set the wheels in motion, and those who are trained, those who have power, are out there doing their best. I don't think we are useful there. I think we are more useful out here trying to figure out how to stop this at the source.
And at the very least, try and get you sparked up.
Yes, trying to get my magic working again.
Actually, we gotta head back to town to go up north to Daystar, or else we gotta go through the Brightwood by getting out of the mountains and into the forest, traveling northeast rather than heading back southeast.
Yeah, we've got to travel through the hills a little bit anyway, so we could just make part of the trek already, and then when we reach the point where we'd have to branch off, that's when we branch off.
Actually, I'm thinking that we just strike up north right away rather than trekking east and then taking the shorter path through the wood.
I would think it's more useful to enter the Brightwood immediately.
I was thinking the road would be smoother than trees for a little while, especially with a laden cart.
There is that. Ryan, how much are we aware of the Brightwood and what kind of reputation does it have?
The Brightwood is generally considered to be dangerous. There are tribes of orcs and goblins throughout, especially in the southern reaches of the Brightwood, close to where civilized centers are. And people do not travel further north into the Brightwood and come back.
You know, based on what we know of the Brightwood, it might be best to take that run straight east, and then before it dips to go south-southeast to Nordgard, we just strike out against the shorter distance of the Brightwood.
Ryan, have I ever been in the Brightwood since I've wandered places?
Yes, you would have wandered into the Brightwood, not deep into it, but you probably haven't even been to Daystar Lake that far into it.
Okay, thanks.
Tempus probably knows more of the Brightwood than any of the rest of us.
He definitely does, as his tribe lives in there.
Then why don't we wait to make a decision on this until he is available?
I can share the knowledge with you that he has. His tribe is quite some distance to the northwest of even the Temple of the Sun, and he knows that there are other orc tribes as well, some friendly, some not. They have relations with some of the goblin tribes as well. There are pockets where they don't go because there are elven strongholds still deep in the woods, And he also knows that there's swampland also further to the north that they don't go into because there's all manner of dangerous creatures in there. And even the stoic orcs know better than to trespass.
I don't like the idea of dragging the cart too far through a place that is so laden with dangers. Like, I'd like to keep it as direct as possible if we're going to take it with us.
So that's the direct east course and then the short stab.
Yes.
Or we bring the cart back to town and reconfigure before we head north.
So we're back at the beginning again.
But
Yes.
my question is, which way does the water flow? Does it flow south out of Nordgard, or does it flow north to the Daystar?
It flows south.
We're walking.
Which way does the wind blow?
Generally east.
It won't blow easily through trees either.
Nope.
Ryan, do they have anything about ferries, rafts that actually used like mule teams and that on the land to drag them up against the current?
Yes. It is winter right now, so most of the river is frozen. So there's not any traffic going north or south along the river. But in the spring, they would definitely have ships coming north against the current.
Would I know of ice boats or sleds?
Yeah, there's definitely sleds that people use in the area.
We would still have to get back to town to get one, though. And I'm scared of ice breaking.
How deep into the frozen season are we?
Fairly early in February still, so it's frozen solid in the narrower part. Especially the waters that are near Nordgard are open through most of the year, even into winter.
I would want to ask Tempus to help me map out which places would be the safe tribes to go talk to on the pathway towards the Daystar Lake.
The tribes are nomadic, so it changes all the time. He doesn't know where they are.
We just have to pick a path and go. That's what we have to do.
It actually might be easiest to go back to town and then work out what's the best route to the Daystar Lake. And at that point, we can also rejigger our supplies.
If we go back to town, our route is going to end up just being north, following the river, if nothing else. But dumping supplies will be good. However, you guys were against that because that takes up time.
I thought the lake was in the other direction.
As did I. I thought it was further west.
But our other option, if we still have that sense of urgency, is where the road curves, is where we can either leave the cart and go hide it, or we just take it with us.
I don't like the idea of possibly ditching the cart.
I don't like the idea of trying to hide the cart, because Lord knows we could forget how to find it. But at the same time, dragging it all the way through the woods, that after this being described to me, doesn't sound like there's very many trails that would take the width of a cart without us having to hack our way through the woods.
So it's really starting to sound more and more like we should probably stop off back in town and rejigger our supply.
Okay, then that's our plan. We're going back to town.
Right. We can sell off stuff, use the money we make to get supplies like healing potions and such, and be better suited for saying hello to the Daystar Lake and anything in the way.
Evening.
Evening, welcome.
Hey, you just came in, but do you have 2 cents for our choice? Are we going to town or are we going to the lake?
Personally, I'd vote town. We've got a very little cart and a lot of loot, but I'm open if somebody thinks that time is an issue here.
Nope, that's perfect. That's a majority rule. We are good.
Okay, and Ysmyr, you had mentioned that you wanted to read the tablets. The 2 tablets together say, Sharo is great, Lord of Light, Scourge of the Undead. May his light shine forever. Battle the undead at every turn. Face death, knowing that your place in the heavens is assured. The life of an elf is short compared to the eternal beyond. Force back the darkness, for once the light is snuffed, it cannot be relit.
Okay, is it in Elvish, I'm assuming?
Yes.
For now, she's going to mull on that unless someone asks, so.
Mary's going to ask.
Yareene's not going to ask, but she'll read it herself.
Okay, well then, since they're resting, like, Ysmyr will take the time to read it out to Miri, and that's going to lead into the question of, did Shiro speak to you while we were in the temple directly?
I'm not entirely certain, but I was definitely told to bring these tablets with me, and there wasn't much more that I was given.
Well, what else were you given? Because did they give you a name? Did they say anything about the tablets? We're in a spiral of who knows what right now. I've shared some of what I know. If you got answers, I'd like to know more.
I recall giving you as much as I've gotten. Off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly everything that I'd gotten handed last session.
And while they're talking, I'm assuming everyone's settling in. We're settled in to barricade somewhere for a long rest.
Just to catch me up on that, are we resting at the temple, or are we going out into the woods and finding a place that hasn't had any undead action in a while?
That's most of what we've been discussing.
Yeah, I did throw out the question, do we want to try and bring in the mules and the cart and fortify ourselves in here, or did we want to get some distance now that we know back to town, or what?
The doors aren't wide enough to get the cart completely into the temple.
And I had voted we use what day time we have left to make some tracks, because we're going to have to rest anyway.
If we can't get the cart in, my vote is that we make our way away and rest on the road.
I'm inclined to agree, and I actually have a suggestion for that. I don't know how many people are proficient with survival, but I was going to suggest that Yaereene lead us and just kind of try and use the survival skill to forge us a path that's maybe a little bit off the main road. I'll use my survival to try and obscure our path and keep us hidden from anybody that's coming up behind us. And if you guys can keep your eyes out for like a bear den or any signs of bears, I can do something for us.
Do we want to take the cart off of the road or just have me ranging a little further away?
I don't really want to take the cart off the road. That could lead to getting stuck a lot.
Or a broken axle or wheel.
Why don't we follow the road for a little bit, and if Yaereene can range a little bit off of the road and, again, just keep an eye out for like a bear's den or something, then I can do some stuff for us.
What do the roads look like? Because if I remember right, on our way here, we had to forge so hard that we got into an exhaustion state.
Yes, the road up the hill to the Temple of the Sun is the only cart tracks that you see are the ones that you created. The snow is quite deep, and while you were down in the catacombs, the cart tracks have also filled a little bit with snow. You can still see where they were, so you won't have to make survival checks to find the road and keep the cart on it on the way down. Once you get back down to the road, it was like the main road that goes between the two cities. Then it's a bit clearer.
Okay, so I went back and double checked. No, take the tablets was all I got.
Okay, well, this is something to think about. Shiro is likely to be a great help if this is all tied to what's going on with the undead.
Any light is light, and light against darkness is always a good thing.
Okay, so you guys are going to head down the road on the hill here in the night?
I think so.
I mean, if it's already dark, should we really be traipsing around out in the darkness?
All of us have dark vision, and as long as the weather isn't too inclement, it doesn't seem terribly dangerous as long as we're on the path.
Okay, but it's going to be extra cold.
What's cold?
It's a condition that you orcs don't know.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The weather, when the sun goes down, it gets colder.
We have blankets for you all now. We're fine. We can go a little bit.
All right. Now, is somebody going to take the lead of the mules since they don't have dark vision and make sure that they step right?
I can lead the mules. I've got animal handling.
See, this was part of why I was suggesting that we maybe not travel in the dark.
Okay, give me an animal handling check.
They might know you want to eat them at some point, so we'll see.
Yep. You get the mules going, and they follow your lead in the darkness. They're making sounds of discomfort, but they continue to move. And so you wind your way down this path, and it takes you about an hour to get down the hill. And it is deep night by the time you get down there. And you can see the main road has been cleared even a little more than when you guys came through the first time. So it's pretty easy to follow the road back east.
Okay, so if nobody has, like, if everybody's okay, I'd say let's keep walking down the path back to town. And Yaereene, do you think you're good to try and find us that bear den?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Although I would like to point out this means we're splitting the party.
Well, why would you have to remind Ryan of that? Stay within shouting distance, maybe.
Will do.
She didn't need to remind me. I knew. Yaereene, could you please give me a survival check?
Sure thing.
You don't find any bear tracks while you're going, but you do find other tracks. The first set of tracks that you find appear to be humanoid, and they're kind of shuffling through the snow towards the north.
I head back to the rest of them and let them know that I think that there's undead going around.
And it's going north?
Yep.
Well, that's annoying. At the temple, ghouls were attacking us. What if they know about the lake?
I hate to sound as cheerful as Miri complains, but I don't think we got much of a choice.
Then our course is set. We press on.
You guys continue walking. Yaereene, are you continuing to look for... are you going to go ranging some more through the night?
A lot closer than I was before, so not far. I don't think it's worth being alone with undead.
That's fair. Can you give me another survival check? You continue to see periodically more sets of single tracks of humanoids shuffling towards the north. They're spread out by quite some distance. Like it can be anywhere between 15 minutes and an hour between each set of tracks as you walk through the night. But there's definitely a lot of them.
Okay, and I keep reporting back to them. They're all single so far?
Yes.
Okay, I include that information.
And dawn breaks. You guys still have a fair bit of energy. You had your long rest in the middle of the day last time, so you can continue going for a few more hours before you have to worry about exhaustion. Wait a minute. Tempus is exhausted right now to the point that his speed is halved, right? So, Tempus, are you in the cart, so you're not slowing down the party?
No, he was leading the mules, but I was also using my loot to give him an extra 10 feet.
Okay.
Exactly.
I think we should rest in the morning because we don't know what our afternoon is going to bring.
I can agree with that. And yeah, if we need any final decisions, we can make them.
Okay, so are you doing a short rest or a long rest or both?
I need spell slots.
Long rest.
Can Yaereene and I give us a quick survival check to try and find a suitable place a little bit off the path where we can hole up and try to camouflage ourselves a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, you find suitable places both to the north and south of the road. It's a little distance off, but wouldn't be a problem to tuck the cart behind some brush.
Okay, then same thing as before. We'll go to the north side of the path, I guess. We'll back the cart up into a snowdrift. We'll put some blankets to either side of the cart and create a little hut that we can crawl under and just cuddle on in with the mules and set up for the night.
I try and crawl as far as I can under the cart so I'm not hugging a mule.
I'm sure the mules are fine outside the cart.
Yeah, they seem much happier now that it's daytime.
I'm voting we set a watch. I'm fine taking first bit.
Well, I would suggest that we pair off and do 4 and 4 and let Tempus have a good long rest after he has a nice drink.
I could really use a rest.
As much as I appreciate it, Tiara, I am, of course, more than happy to carry my share of the load. I will take the first 2 hours of watch myself.
Tempus, you do have to get a full 8 hours rest to recover 1 level of exhaustion as well.
Yes, I assumed that we would be resting for at least 10 hours so that we could do both a short rest and a long rest and make sure that there was somebody up and watching at all times.
Okay.
Put me where you'd like me.
Everybody can get to sleep for the first 2 hours. I'll be up and watching.
Well, I had already said I would take first.
Okay, you've got first, I've got second.
I can take the third.
I'll take the last.
Okay. The night passes, or I guess the day passes uneventfully. You guys rest until the afternoon, and you can recover hit points with any hit die that you have.
Now, with the way that the timing went, would I have a short rest and then do my long rest?
Yes, I think you guys said you're doing the short rest first, so you can spend some hit dice in the short rest and then regain them at the end of the long rest.
So how does that work?
I think some of you have been using hit dice to recover hit points along the way, so I'm not sure how many everybody has left. But if you have hit dice left to spend, you roll them to regain your hit points. So whatever dice type you roll for your hit points for a level, you roll that to recover, and you also get your Constitution modifier on the roll for each dice that you use.
And we've been forever since a long rest. I'm pretty sure I used mine.
Okay. Well, if you're using D&D Beyond, if you click on short rest, the options on how many hit dice you have are there. You just click how many you're going to use and take your short rest.
Okay, I'll use that in the future. Thanks.
Hey guys. Just because of the way that the sequence runs, if we do long rest and then short rest, I can regain my spell slots.
Whatever suits you best, man. We're going to be here for 10 hours, so if you want to spend 1 hour taking a short rest before you bunk in for the night, I think that works.
Ryan, do you think I need to take a long rest before I can do my Song of Rest?
I think you can use that any time that a short rest is used. That doesn't use a spell slot or anything, does it?
So in that case, we can do the short rest. I can do my Song of Rest. So anybody that uses a hit die can add an extra 1d6 to their roll. So Ysmyr, you'd be able to roll 1d6 if you need more than that 11.
Perfect. Thank you. And then with the long rest, that's 1 plus con, right?
Yes.
I am back to full health, especially after the day before. That's kind of nice.
Yeah. So after the long rest, everybody gets half your hit dice back as well. So if you're, and it rounds up. So if you're third level, you get 2 hit dice back at the end of a long rest.
Did we need to do any watch rolls, or we just made it through?
You made it through with no problems at all.
Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we need to break camp, get fed. Did anybody have any weird dreams? Did anything happen?
No, blissful 8 hours of sleep. It's great.
Speaking of long rests, Ysmyr, can you please roll me a 1d100 for all of your spell slots? And Tempus, you have you're now at exhaustion level 2 instead of 3.
And that's a 32.
How many spell slots do you have, Ysmyr?
2.
Okay, I need one more roll then. You're fine. You've still got both spell slots.
Great. That's good to hear.
Tempest, you're still noticing that you're quite thirsty, but there's lots of snow around, so it's not a big deal.
Did Miri get a chance to regain any slots?
Miri's spells have not been working, so she hasn't been using them.
Is there anything else that anybody's doing during the short or long rest or before you break camp in the morning?
I would like a moment to talk with Ysmyr, if I may.
Sure.
Okay.
War leader, I think I need to have a discussion with you.
All right.
I have been thinking about our time in those catacombs, and I worry that there may be information you need to better make use of my skills.
Well, I'm not against that. What did you want to tell me?
I couldn't help but notice that you have been very concerned about me, and while that is very touching, I have to reassure you, I am not going to die in those catacombs or on the walk back to town. You do not need to worry about me, and you should spend more time focusing on the health of the warband.
Let me make this clear, Tempus. It is not just you I'm concerned about. It is if you are in any condition that does not help the warband that I am concerned about.
That is fair, but you need to understand, I cannot die on the catacombs or on the road back to town. Among the jagged tusk, when we reach a certain age, all of us are given a prophecy that is for us and us alone. Before I left my tribe, I danced in the bone circle, and a shaman of the tribe informed me that I was destined to die, far from the tribe, surrounded by those not of the jagged tusk, and that it would be in glorious battle.
Well, that is helpful and encouraging in a way, I suppose. I still don't condone you charging in face first, because at some point you are going to do that assuming you are fine, but you will cause something that hurts the rest of us. That is one of my primary concerns.
As long as I am between you and the danger, you will be fine, I swear to you. And unless it is a battle of glorious proportions, I simply cannot die. My destiny won't allow it.
Everyone's definition of glory is different. What you think of glorious to the one killing you might be quite different. You never know when it's going to happen.
Nope, the prophecy was pretty clear. It'll be in the middle of a glorious battle.
Until someone else has a different version of glory than you, it might not be your view of glory. But I've seen enough battles. Everyone thinks they're glorious, and they're not.
Do you want to talk about it?
Not really. Even if you don't want me to worry about you, just take what I said into account. You might not die. Everyone else still might. You can't be in front of all of us.
I will take that into consideration, but know that I will always stand between the rest of you and danger until the day of my glorious death comes. And Tempus will give you a hearty pat on the back and say, "Thank you for worrying. Let's go back to town."
I just want you to consider one more thing before you walk away, Tempus. And that is, what will happen to us if you are not there to stop the damage? Just think about it. And then that's when she will walk away.
All right. So unless anybody says otherwise, you continue your trek to the east.
Off we go.
And when we reach that point where the road curves towards the city, just going to give a double check. We're all confirmed we're going back to the city?
Yep.
We need to get the cart and the mules back. I don't want to chance them in the wood.
All right. We can just take it to my cottage, I suppose.
Okay. So the traveling is fairly smooth. You come across other caravans along the way with a variety of goods that they're transporting between cities.
Continuing shuffling humanoid tracks or no?
Yes, you're still seeing those periodically along the way.
I want to call out to one of the people traveling the other way and, "Oh, what news of the city? What goes? What is happening?"
Oh, things are dire. There's several caravans of people heading off towards the other towns because Nordgard is not believed to be entirely safe. The gods have all but abandoned the city. Even the god Torm has been beginning to grow quiet to his followers. He is not yet completely gone, but he is failing, as the others have. The only god that still speaks with their followers is Yondala, and the halflings have been hard-pressed to keep up with the demands of the city all by themselves.
Now, Tormund, wasn't that the old guy that we saw before we started heading towards the temple?
Torm is the one that we sent out to assist with the zombie outbreak. We sent followers of Torm out to assist in dealing with the zombie outbreak.
That's correct. The Temple of Torm was one that healed, I believe at the time it was
Me?
Ysmyr and
Yaereene.
Me.
There were two times that you guys have had to be healed. The very first time with the innkeeper's wife was at the Temple of Torm, and I believe Ysmyr had been scratched at that point as well, and just about turned before they got there. But then there was a second time where Kaetiara, Yaereene, and Ysmyr had been off on their own, and they went to the Temple of Yondala. Kaetiara, the old guy that you talked to in the hut outside of town, was for the god Farlang, and his god had been quiet with him already. I know there's a lot going on, and it's hard to keep track of all the details.
All right. Well, if Torm is going silent, that's not a good sign for defenses of the city. And if the city's not doing well already, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth going there or hurrying to the lake.
Well, I want to get back to the inn because I need to talk to her and get some things straight. And I'd also like to sell some stuff, but I mean, it all depends on what state the city's in, and I think we need to know that as well before we go north.
Well, and the person you were talking to said it's not good.
But that's one person. It could be a very panicky type of person, and there could be a hardcore willing to stay and dig in. Now, whether or not that's advisable, we can make up our own minds.
And perhaps these divine tablets that we are returning will in some way aid the city or bring hope to the masses.
I would like to take those tablets to my temple where I grew up.
I say that's fair.
All right. Well, let's keep going.
It's late in the afternoon when you reach the bend in the road. I need you guys to make the decision now whether you're going to town or going to Daystar Lake.
Well, I think we just said town.
Town.
You guys continue on, and you travel for another few hours before nightfall, and you can still travel in the night if you'd like for a couple more hours, or you can settle down for a rest, whatever you'd like to do.
I think it might be safest to get back within the town walls before we rest again.
It'll definitely be beyond 8 hours of travel to get there, so you'll have to roll a bunch of exhaustion checks.
If we're going to rest, Richter, are you able to try and identify anything?
I could identify something, but I thought we said that we'd wait for the end of days.
Well, if we're stopping.
Because it's more than 8 hours away. Are we going to stumble into town exhausted or no?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't pick up on that. In that case, I can identify 4 things.
Is the rest of the group good with stopping or no?
All right, yep, let's find a stop point.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so are you guys going to look for a spot to hide the cart again during the night, or just camping near the road?
Same thing we did last night.
And would Yaereene be able to maybe find a bear's den this night?
You can give me a survival check. Okay, so were those rolls for finding a spot to sleep tonight or for finding a bear den?
Bear den.
You do find tracks closer to the forest, so you do find bear tracks that lead to a den.
Okay, come back and let the party know.
Well, now at this point, I feel kind of bad because Ysmyr and I did have that good talk about not putting the party at risk, but I don't think Tempus has learned his lesson yet, so he's going to ritual cast Talk with Animals, and I'm going to follow Yaereene back to the bear den.
Okay, you get to the bear den, and there's a bear in there snoring away.
Okay, I'm going to procure myself at least 10 rations, and I'm just going to creep my way into the den and just sit across from the bear for a minute or two.
You see the bear's nose start to snuffle, and it opens up a bleary eye and looks at you with surprise and growls.
I'm going to toss it a ration and say, "Cousin Bear, I am Tempus Halfman of the Jagged Tusk Orc clan. What is your name?"
Bruce.
Have you let me know what's going on?
You hear him talking in a bear language, so yeah, he's kind of roaring at the bear, and the bear roars back.
I will say, "Friend Bruce, my companions and I are in need of safe shelter. May I trade you this food for half of your den?"
It looks around the den, looks at the food, and says, "Yes."
Cool. I'm going to toss him the rest of the food and just let him know that the rest of my companions, for the most part, even though they are elves, they mean well, and that he's not allowed to eat my mules. I will then pop my head out of the den and inform Yaereene we have a safe place to sleep tonight.
Sounds good.
Okay, I go back and get the rest of the party.
And when we get there and see that the bear is actually there, it's just like, what did you do? Is it safe?
The bear glares at you, Ysmyr.
I will, assuming I still have a few minutes left on Speak to Animals, I will inform the bear that this is my friend Ysmyr and she is my war leader.
Why is he glaring at me?
Is he glaring at anyone else?
By the time the party gets there, you do not have your Speak with Animals ritual up still, Tempus.
Well, my question stands.
It's only glaring at you, Ysmyr.
I start playing a low, slow melody, trying to do a calming thing, not just on the bear, but also on Ysmyr.
Why me? I'm not angry. I just don't know why it's staring at me.
The soothing music appears to have some effect on the bear. But it's still it's not openly growling at Ysmyr, but it's still looking at her suspiciously as it backs up into the rear of its den.
You know what? I will just camp just outside the entrance, and that should mean less trouble for the rest of you. All right?
Ysmyr, you want to keep just behind me with me playing my tune for the bear between us?
You can't play all night, Katira. It's fine.
No, but I can play long enough to let you at least get a solid 4 without shivering like a damn fool.
I'll be fine.
No, you won't. Do as I've asked you to very nicely, or I'll start glaring at you.
Please, war leader, we've arranged for it, we've paid the bear with food, everything is fine.
I'm still camping by the door. Or entrance, whatever you want to call it.
But within and away from the wind.
Sure.
Okay. You guys are sleeping in a bear den. The night passes. Night? Yeah, we're back to night now. The night passes peacefully. The bear is content with the distance between itself and Ysmyr, apparently, because it goes back to sleep and snores.
Now, Tempus, you make sure you keep the full 8. Get your rest, you need it.
Tempus is already asleep.
I blink hard and just kind of mutter and smile to myself and just keep playing.
Miri decides that Tempus makes a good pillow.
All right. Morning breaks, and a fair bit of snow falling outside when you wake up in the morning.
Well, we're not that far from the path, so is everybody good to keep going?
I'd like to be in town by the end of the day.
I think we'd better be good to get going, because the snow is probably not going to get better.
No, I'm good moving. I don't want to tick off the bear any more than I have to.
Yeah, you guys got half your hit dice back, so everybody should be full on hit dice. And Tempus has one less level of exhaustion. He's down to just 1 level now. Ysmyr, can you roll me 2d100, please?
Yep.
Uh-oh. So you only have 1 spell slot today.
Okay. Well, she's going to seem a little out of it for a bit, but she'll be fine.
Okay, I think we're good to continue on the walk back to town.
The day is uneventful. There's more carts, and it doesn't even take you the whole day to get there. It's only about 3 hours more travel, and you arrive at the gates of Nordgard.
I'm hoping that I see the city guard try and do a thorough search on the cart, a lot better than they did with the bloody cart that whacked us out.
I was going to go up to the guard and introduce myself as Sergeant Orduna and just ask what the condition of the city is.
The city's just fine.
You don't sound positive.
I have my orders. The city's just fine.
Are we close enough to hear this? Listen, here, you silly buffoon. It was because of your damn lax attitude that we nearly got killed due to the zombies trying to get into town in the first place, and now we don't need you just parroting. We are part of the guard that is keeping the place safe. Don't give us crap. Give us information.
Well, if you're going to receive information that's different from the information I have, I suppose you will have to go and speak with the boss.
Well, nice to see that you've got your own mind. Keep parroting the line.
Well, then I guess we're going to head into town. Do we want to stop and talk to any of Ysmyr's guard contacts, or are we good to go straight to the Temple of Fultus and drop off the tablets?
I think we will want to talk to the guard, at least to find out what's going on. Probably want to check in at some of the temples Partly I don't want to carry around the tablets unless we really need to, because they're heavy.
Ryan, if I recall right, this is at the north side of the city where we're coming in, where the inn and Miri's temple are in the south end?
I'll link a map and talk you through it.
All right. Well, I don't want to waste too much time in the city. Yes, get the tablets to the temple. I can ask what's been going on if we want to know, but I think we need to make sure we have a rendezvous quickly and be ready to head out again.
Well, from what I recall, the inn and the temple of Miri are across from each other, so if we're splitting ourselves up to run around in the town, I'm with Miri heading towards her temple.
Well, and I think we have to pass my cottage on the way, so if we want to drop anything off there for storage, we can.
You guys are coming in the northwest gate there across the river. The city hall is the large structure on the largest island there that you'll be going past. The army barracks is in the northern part of the city, fairly close to the Temple of Pelor. As you get closer to the center circle of the city, then you're getting your central market, the Temple of Torm, the city guard barracks, and the Blue Lock Inn. To the west of the center of town, near the other bridge that goes to the island with the three structures on it, that's where the Temple to Foltis is, along with the Lock and Key Inn, where you guys have been spending a lot of time when you've been in town. Was there anything else that you wanted to know where it was here?
Which way are we going to go? Are we going to take the route over the islands, past all those little dots, or are we going to go across, hit the army barracks, and then head down through the center of town? Because I want to try and sell off some stuff of mine I have no use for anymore. I mean, if we go by the market on the way down or on the way back up, heading towards it, so I can convert it and not just have the weight sitting around, I'm good either way.
Well, we just have to do all of it anyway, so...
I'm just wondering how much we have to split the party.
How about this? How about we assume that we would go on the most logical path through the city from the main gate, hitting all the various different destinations that would sort of make sense to hit in order. And we'll start by checking off the different priorities everybody has by going from the top to the bottom of the list that we have on the left of the screen. And we can assume that anybody that sort of wants to take responsibility for one of those priorities is the person that's helming that particular task, and the rest of the party can step in to assist as needed. Like, for example, Yaereene may want to take us first to the key and lock, but we'd assume that we would do it in the order that would make the most logical sense. If Ryan's good with that and the party's good with that, then we can start with whatever Yaereene wants to get done, down to Miri, myself, Yaereene, Ysmyr. Does that work for everyone?
Well, I was actually saying that the key and lock and the temple to deliver the tablets to are right across from each other, so we can knock two of them off at the same time.
Yep.
But at the same time, we got to take a look at our route through town, because we're arriving up at the northwest, and that's down like just at...
Let's just go around the outside border, so through the islands we can pass all that if there's stuff we need to do there, and then just work down the road east.
And then work our way north again?
Yeah, just make a big circle.
I'm good with that.
We don't need to stop at my family's. It's okay.
They'd be worried about you, wouldn't they?
Maybe.
If it's on the way, don't be a fool.
Okay.
We'll try not to embarrass you, dear.
I'm going to copy and paste that list that Tempus posted, assuming you guys want to walk in like a circle around the city. I'll number them in the order that they would come up, if that's what you want.
Yep, I'm good with that.
Well, I guess we can just proceed to wherever we're going first.
Sounds like we are doing visiting my family.
Only if you consent to it. I'm putting that on the list as with out of character knowledge. So if that's something that you don't want to do or that Yaereene wouldn't bring up at all, then we can stroke it off the list.
If you do wind up doing it, it would be around the same time that you are checking in with the army barracks.
Well, I mentioned it, and then everybody said I should, and she is not confident enough to stand up to the rest of the group, so we're going to do it now.
Well, no, to be fair, Ysmyr just asked if they were worried. She didn't say she had to do anything.
Yes, but Yaereene interpreted it that way, so now we have to do it.
Well, let's go deliver tablets.
Okay, so according to the chart that he's got, the first thing is try for an audience with council, question mark.
Are people good to try and chat with the town council and get a proper update for what things are doing? Tempus has his own reasons for doing it, but if y'all say no, I'm happy to let it sit for now.
No, it needs doing.
No, we might as well.
Okay, where do we go and what do we do to check in with the council, Ryan?
You can visit the city hall and see if they're in and available. They hold public meetings some days of the week.
We head to the city hall.
Yeah, so it's not very far. You're just crossing a single bridge to get there. And the city hall building is the largest structure in the city, made of solid stone. It looks almost like a fortress rather than what you would expect politicians to be using sitting around. There are guards standing guard around the city hall, but they pay you no mind as you enter the building.
Entering the building, what does it look like on the inside?
It's all old stone, large, heavy wooden beams. There's somebody sitting at a desk inside the door, and you can see people milling about, going about their day-to-day business in here.
Anybody that looks like an administrator or a gatekeeper of some kind?
The person at the desk looks up at you and says, yes, can I help you?
I am Tempus Half-Man, an emissary of the Jagged Tusk Orc clan. I have come here to address your leaders.
I see. Well, you can just head down the hall here, the main hall, and the doors are open, and you can have a seat and wait your turn.
Tempus is going to blink twice and say, wait my turn.
Yes, the council is usually busy with requests from the city, busier than usual of late. I'm not sure how many people will be waiting ahead of you, but yes, you can wait your turn.
Let me make one thing clear to you.
Tempus, that's how it works here.
Tempus.
We bring news not only of zombies, but of an orc horde walking upon the city. I'll let you judge for yourself just how important we are and how long we should wait. And Tempus is going to go and pout.
Okay, she just shrugs like, it's not my decision. And
Okay, I start walking ahead.
That's an intimidation check thrown in for good measure.
okay, she's really scared of you, but like can't do anything about it.
Okay, I'm going to try and do my hype master, Ricky D. Start playing, announcing the arrival of Tempus Half-Man, the fabled ambassador from the tribe, ready to talk to the council and share the wisdom of the orc tribes.
Please don't.
I think I want you to make a persuasion check.
Not perform?
You're trying to persuade them with the performance.
All right.
So you walk through the hall announcing Tempus Half-Man, famed wrestler and whatnot. And you do actually see people turning their heads in the city hall and pointing and talking amongst themselves excitedly. And when you get to the main hall, there are actually a few people who willingly step aside to allow you to go before them if they can get Tempus's signature.
I'm going to talk to that clerk, and I'm going to ask if the clerk can give me an update on how things are in the city.
The clerk looks extremely shaken right now and is in no fit state to answer you because she even though Tempus is walking away, she's still staring at him in awe.
I'll give her a few minutes to calm down and try and be gently persuasive. She probably has seen me around and would recognize the town's angel, and just asking politely for what is the status of things in the town.
Okay, we'll get back to that. Tempus, so people have asked you for your autograph. What are you giving them?
Giving them a rough drawing of a boar with an X.
Okay, give me a performance check.
I give him bardic inspiration.
And rolling my inspiration.
1d6.
13 total.
Yeah, you draw some passable bores on the paper and mark them with X's, and the people are just so thankful to have these pieces of memorabilia that they're happy to stand aside and let you take their place in line. So there's only a couple of people ahead of you, and the audiences are public. You can see the counselors in their seats and the people who have approached them and are talking to them. Okay, so we'll go back to Miri while you guys are waiting. Miri, what are you saying to the clerk now that she has settled down?
I'd like an update, whatever you can give me, on what's going on within the city. How are things since we left a few days ago?
In regards to what? I'm sorry.
The zombies.
There have been no zombie outbreaks in the city. I believe the last I heard was an attack where some undead fiend came in with a cart through the southern gate, but was dealt with by a handful of adventurers. There have been no attacks since, although we did lose some of the army soldiers and I believe one cleric of Torm when they were out sweeping the farmers' fields to clean up the rest of the zombies.
So there's been no incursions further into the city itself?
No.
All right. Good. Hopefully we can keep it that way. I have, however, heard a disturbing rumor that Torm has gone quiet.
He's, according to the clerics who won't stop coming here, Torm still provides strength of whatever the priests want for most people, but some have been having a bit of difficulty receiving all of their powers. I'm not sure what it all means, but they seem quite upset about it.
All right, that's understandable. Have you heard of any of the others having issues? Anyone new? I mean, I know that those who follow Foltus have been having issues for quite some time. I am trying to get a sense of which of the gods is able to respond and which of the gods are having trouble responding.
Right. The only priests that I haven't been hearing from are those of Yondola, except that they are asking us for tax money because they've been working so diligently to help the people of the town. But they're, as far as their powers are concerned, they seem to be still working just fine. There's also been an uptick in problems with the followers of Oladamara. Apparently their powers are still working as well, and they're taking full advantage of the fact that the good gods are going silent.
That's certainly problematic. Well, there's not a whole lot else we can do. Would you know where anyone might have maps that extend into the Brightwood?
I would check the market. Someone there might.
All right, thank you. I will go endeavor to collect, or maybe I'll just wait for them. Thank you. You've been most helpful. And Miri will turn and go back to Yaereene and Ysmyr.
Yaereene and Ysmyr, I see that you've been having a conversation in chat. Did you want to share what happened in the audio?
It's basically Ysmyr kind of going to Yaereene and being like, does your family know you've been traveling with us? And do you want them to know? Do you want to see them before we go somewhere else?
And so we're going to go. And Ysmyr's going to tell them that I've been very helpful.
Excellent. Okay. So we're going to pause on that because it is now Tempus's turn to speak to the council.
While Tempus is speaking to the council, I start playing my lute, doing strums like a drum beat, major chords, and building up as he builds up, and then switching to minors and slowly going quieter as his pace slows down.
Give me a performance check.
Only an 8.
Ouch.
So it turns out that making a lute sound like a drum, strumming on chords, is a lot more difficult than you thought it would be. And it's just coming out as kind of noise. And you have certainly drawn the attention of the counselors, but there's a small gnomish wizard who says, "Please stop playing that thing."
I shall. I apologize. I was trying a new technique. Obviously, it did not work. I beg your forgiveness.
Obviously, a large human male dressed in opulent silks sits back in his seat and says, "And who is this orc thing who approaches the council?"
Tempus is going to take a step forward. I'm going to bring out my halberd and tap the haft on the ground, and then very slowly and deliberately, keeping my eyes up on the council, I'm going to put the halberd on the ground. I'm not dropping it, I'm not slamming it, it's just a very firm placement on the ground. I'm going to step over it and take 2 steps closer to the council, leaving the halberd behind me, cross my arms, and just maintain a stare at them for a couple of seconds. The silence builds.
Oh, don't tell me this thing doesn't speak the common tongue.
I'll have you know he speaks it more politely than you.
Among my people, it is considered good manners when discussion is to be had to ensure that our hands are empty, to allow everyone clear idea of our honest intent. But if the courtesy of this hall is so wanting, then so be it. I come bearing news of the jagged tusk. My people are on the move. When the winter snows melt, they will be upon your city. They will have goods for trade, and they will desire much of you. You have been warned. Whether we come in peace, or whether we take as we need, is now in your hands. And with that, I'm going to turn around, pick up my halberd, and start walking away.
You would dare threaten us, orc?
I loudly sniff.
I'm going to turn around, and did you give me an inspiration back following the last adventure? I'm using it right now to roll an intimidation against the fat man. Just a sneering stare down. That's a 7. I am so sad.
He's still, despite you being less than your best at intimidating, he still does appear slightly unnerved by your speech and mannerisms, and places his sword on his desk in front of him.
I'm going to then reach to my side, pull out a throwing axe, and just toss it onto the ground before him and inform him, if you should desire war, please send the axe back to my people, and we will answer in kind. And I say, also, I almost forgot. And I'll go into my backpack, and I will pull out a small item made of bone. It's my animal trophy that I get as part of my Wayfarer background. It looks vaguely kind of like a finger. It starts off thick at one end, moves to a little bit of a tapered point, and has a lot of like nice little scrimshaw on it. And I'm going to just stomp over to his desk and drop it on there and say, a gift of great respect for you and yours. And then I'll spit over my shoulder and start walking back out of the hall.
One of the women says, "Please, do not judge us all by Horace's behavior. We shall not be returning the axe to your people. We seek not war with them." And as you are leaving the hall, a man in ragged clothes, he's wearing armor plainly underneath them that has obviously seen a great deal of action, stands in front of your way, and he says, "Orc, you say your people are ready to fight. Are they?
Always.
Perhaps you would consider aiming their bloodlust towards a worthy foe."
I'll give him my most wicked, tusky grin and say, we choose our own foes. If you desire relations with my people, I suggest you improve the courtesy of your hall.
Ah, that's where you're mistaken. This is not my hall. Tell me, would you consider the undead a worthy foe?
The undead are abominations, and we will destroy them wherever we come across them. But at present, they are not my people's concern. We desire steel and iron, and we require items of magical use. We will have goods for trade, and that is all that we are concerned about. If you wish to hire mercenaries, show yourself honorable and deal with silver.
I am most heartened to hear this, for I have come to this city looking for aid, and yet I find the city rather lacking in spirited warriors. It is unfortunate that the reputation of the North is not as well earned as we have believed in the South. I am Prince Bartimius, Warden of the Sea, and I have come seeking soldiers to help with the Empire of the Sun.
You should discuss this with my war leader. Come with me.
First, I will speak with the council, and then I shall indeed speak with your war leader.
I shall await you. And Tempus will just fade into the background and wait for the prince to have his say.
I do a big flourish on the lute, and then I head out.
The prince strides forward and looks particularly at the counselor who had been identified as Horus and says, "Our enemies are boundless, limitless. They bring death and destruction with them wherever they go, and you would cast aside the orcs? No. You are wrong. We need every living being we can scrounge up who can fight to take the fight to them. Even now, the Empire of the Sun is surrounded by undead forces. We are cut off from all of the surrounding lands. We have no idea what's happening outside of our city walls. For all I know, in the time it has taken me to come up the river, the city itself has fallen, and this could very well be the last bastion of humanity." And he waves to the other counselors. "The other good races of the North. I would expect you to greet any suggestion of help warmly and openly from here on out, if you are indeed loyal to my father, King Ethelric." And you see Horus stand at attention, his eyes wide, and he says, "Oh, Prince Bartimius, I'm sorry to hear of hardships that have fallen on the South. Of course, if you need more men, and we would be happy to aid you any way we can. Of course, we have our own problems here with undead incursions, but whatever we can do to help, and if the orcs, all the better. Horus, your blatant racism is appalling. I will deal with that another time. For now, I will speak with your soldiers and see if any can be spared, and I will gladly await the coming of the orcs and deal with them myself." And he turns and leaves the counselors sputtering behind him.
I'll lead him back to Ysmyr.
I stick my tongue out at Horus and I follow.
And we're all together, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming we were just waiting.
Yep, you see Tempus come walking out of the council chambers, and he's followed by a handsome, albeit disheveled, human male, and Keitiara.
War leader, this man is a prince. I think you should talk to him.
Well, if we were sitting, Ysmyr's going to get to her feet, and she's at a loss here.
Yaereene will stand up and fall over right at the prince's feet.
Yeah, Miri will also jump to her feet and stumble over herself in an attempt to either bow or curtsy or decide which one and fumble between them.
No, Yaereene will literally fall.
Ryan, does the kingdom have an anthem that I know?
Yes, you're very familiar with the anthem.
I start playing it.
Yeah, so the prince is marching along, and he nods appreciatively to you playing the anthem of the kingdom.
Well, and Ysmyr was going to get to her feet and be like, "Prince," and then she would look at the prince and be like, "I'm sorry, you are..."
"I am Prince Bartimius, Warden of the Sea, and you are?"
"Sergeant Ysmyr Yggdrasil Orduna of, I suppose, your army."
"Excellent, Sergeant. I was just about to speak to your commanding officer. So, I am a little bit confused. This orc has told me that you are his war leader. Has something happened to the armed forces here that a sergeant is in charge?"
"No, not exactly. We were going to be stopping by the barracks right away here. Tempus here, along with These other 3 we've been working together to look into the reason why the gods have gone silent in the city. And we were hoping to look into the undead issue we've been having as well. But as the army has been busy, I was sent alone with their help.
I see. Well, I'm glad to hear that somebody up here is being proactive against the problems that we are all facing in this dark time.
I'm very sorry, Your Highness.
So the silent gods have been an issue in the Empire.
Yes, I spoke with my father, King Ethelric, and he sent out a party of heroes to deal with some border issues, and it wasn't long after that we began to have difficulties with some of the gods. And since then, more and more have fallen silent. It is certainly concerning, especially since they would be the ones best suited to help us with this undead incursion.
That must have been months ago then. Months and months ago, because Foltest started to go silent almost half a year gone.
Yes, Foltest was one of the first.
And Palor. And now Torm is fully silent.
Torm as well? Oh, gracious. We are in dire straits then.
Yes, Your Highness.
Seems it's all the goodly ones, but I've gotten the impression that there's an old one who might be reachable in some way, but I think that's worth talking about somewhere else.
Yes, Your Highness. If you would not mind speaking to a lowly cleric.
I speak to all of my people.
Well, would you like us to escort you to the barracks? Or anywhere else you need to go to deal with this, I suppose?
I am planning on meeting with the captain of the armed forces here. That will be my first stop to shore up the defenses. I've brought a small contingent with me. Our ship became locked in the ice some way south. It was a difficult travel here to Nordgard. The river is quite twisted, and not... I'm sure we spent many more days traveling than we needed to, but hopefully we can help rally the troops and prepare them for what is to come.
Yes, we've had our own encounters and rallied what we could, but more help is always welcome.
My thoughts as well.
All right, well, I suppose we might as well head to the barracks next.
Lead the way, please.
And she will give a short bow and start leading the way.
And as you walk, the prince looks at Miri and says, "So, you're a cleric, are you?"
Yes, sir. I am a cleric of Foltest. I am young yet, but I had been preparing for this sort of journey for much of my life. And so when the zombie attack started here, I set out to go see if we could find the source, and we may have a lead.
That is excellent news. I could use hope in these times.
Well, maybe the best hope is getting the tablets to the temple?
Yes, probably. But His Highness's work is surely far more important.
Well, I can lead His Highness to the barracks if the rest of you want to take the tablets to the temple. That is fine as well.
Your Majesty.
Ysmyr, you've scolded us before for splitting
We're in the
party.
city.
Yes, and that's not helped sometimes.
All right then. Now, Your Majesty, would you not like to come back and talk to the army barracks and tell them how you saw, or you didn't see, that the tablets made a difference?
I'm pretty sure getting the army moving first would be helpful while people work with the tablets.
But I'm thinking of the inspiration to give to the army. When the prince strides up and say, "The gods are once again with us, we can go forth and we can do the work of the gods."
Back! Miri bonks you, in the chest.
Oi, what's that?
They might not do anything.
Shut
I think
up!
you're getting far ahead of yourself, Katiara.
I like to think the positive, despite what Miri says.
But all they say is that Sharo is light and that the light must not go out.
And maybe that's the message we need to bring everyone. They're all fearing the darkness instead of focusing on maintaining the light.
We all know that the light must not go out.
Better start praying to Sharo then, Miri.
We know, but we need to pass the message on to everyone else is what I'm saying.
And do you really think that's going to energize anyone other than clerics?
Miri, quiet for a second. Your Highness, I apologize for this. Miri, last time I heard you pray to apparently Sharo, you said the sun. You did not pray to Sharo. You did not pray to anyone. You are holding on to your pride and trying to, I don't know what you believe in right now. But right now I need you to think it's not about you. It's not about who you want to pray to. It's about Sharo might be our only hope. It might be worth giving them your ear.
The prince places his arm on Ysmyr's shoulder gently and says, "The path of the clerics has been difficult of late. Go gently.
It's been a long trip.
It has for all of us. A little kindness would not go amiss."
I have been praying for light to anyone that might listen. As soon as I learned the name of another form of the light, I added that name to my prayers.
Tempus is going to take this opportunity to scoop everyone within arm's reach into a giant bear hug. Miri, Ysmyr, the prince, and just everybody is wrapped up in his arms, and he's just going to say, "Shh! Orcs are stronger together. We cannot fight each other because we are a warband. We war against the world, not ourselves."
The prince appears uncomfortable.
Put us down, Tempus, please.
He does so.
Okay, I'd start trying to play a tune of John Delar's.
Now, Ysmyr's going to take a breath. I'm sorry for snapping, Miri. It was uncalled for. There's just a lot on my mind right now.
There's a lot on all of our minds. And as much as I'd like to think the tablets would help, I really don't think the soldiers are going to care as much as the clerics.
I know, but what I was trying to do, dear, is give the prince a message to embolden the soldiers, knowing they could trust the clerics and that the clerics did have their powers back, if we were lucky enough to do that.
Don't lie to them.
Oh no, I'd never lie.
If you imply something that isn't true, you'll get people killed. And that's not fair to any of us.
Child.
Don't you child me, you're not that much older.
He's got a good century on you, girl.
I am a tad older, but we'll leave that by the by. What I'm saying is, I think the prince needs to be there to see whether or not the tablets work. If everybody else thinks that's a silly thing, then it's a silly thing. I'm just suggesting. I'm not ordering and I'm not demanding. Does that help at all, dear?
I don't know where the tablets need to go. I was only told that I needed to take them with me. I don't know that here is where they're needed. Maybe they need to be brought with us to the Daystar Lake. Maybe that's the only way to unlock the Daystar, to get that artifact out of the lake.
Well then, Ysmyr can take the prince off to the army. I'll go with you to the temple. We'll see if that's where they need to go. And if they're not, I'll go with you where they need to go.
I don't even know if anyone at the temple will be able to read them.
Then I'll translate.
I've read them. I could help.
All right.
Your Majesty, Your Highness, I'm not sure which I should be using, but it's your choice. If you feel you need to go direct with Ysmyr to the army, if you do, we'll join you later. If not, you're more than welcome to join us.
My business will be taking me to the barracks. However, I do wish you luck with these tablets, and I hope your people can find faith that will be useful to us all.
Thank you, Your Highness.
So who's going where?
Ysmyr will go to the barracks.
Yaerene's going not where the prince is.
So how about this then? Ysmyr and let's say Katiara and the prince will head to the barracks, and then Tempus, Miri, and Yaereene can take the tablets to the Temple of Foltest. Does that work for folk?
No, I promised that I'd help Miri with the tablets. I would rather go with the tablets.
Okay, then I'll go with Ysmyr to the barracks with the prince.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we've got Ysmyr and Tempus heading to the barracks, which is closer, so we'll deal with that first.
Okay, as they walk away, Ysmyr's just going to take another breath, and I apologize again. That outburst, that was
Please.
necessary.
You need not apologize. Everyone is frayed and falling apart. Everywhere that I've been, even my own people. It was all I could do to keep my band together all the way to Nordgard. You have nothing to apologize for.
Well, it hasn't been easy.
Tempus, was there anything that you wanted to talk to the prince about?
Tempus will ask the prince if he thinks that his kingdom would be willing to trade iron and steel with the jagged tusks in order to help the jagged tusk achieve their goals.
Unfortunately, we are not in a state of trade at the moment. It was all I could do to get my ship away. Our fleet is scattered. Our city is blockaded. We have no means of getting trade to your people. However, if it would help, I could see what I could do here in Nordgard to get these folk to aid your people.
Tempus is going to eye the prince up and down, and he's then going to ask the prince if he is sincere in his promises.
Of course I'm sincere.
Then I will tell you why the Jagged Tusk require these weapons and tools. They plan to unite the orc clans of the north, all of them. If you are able to support us, or if you are able to promise something that could compel my people, you may have an alliance with not just one clan, but with a horde the likes of which the world has never before seen.
Such a force would be welcome. We need every axe, every sword we can get against this undead threat, for their numbers multiply every day. It is my greatest shame that I had to flee the city to seek help elsewhere, but we were out of options.
That's why we went to the temple northwest of the city looking for aid as well. That's where we found out about Sharo and an evil god called Dowreth, who's kind of tearing through the hells right now. I think it's all tied together.
Well, I'm not a religious man, so I can't say that I understand anything about these two names that you've mentioned, but if those tablets are as you seem to think they are, it can only be good for those with faith to find power once more.
Hopefully.
And you arrive at the barracks, and the prince strides in and says, "Now, if you'll excuse me, I must speak with the captain here and see what kind of forces I'm dealing with."
Yes, you'll want Captain Yuri Swift. Or at least he's the one I answer to. He should be able to help you.
Thank you very much for your assistance, Ysmyr. I will remember you.
Well, hopefully better than I behaved earlier. And she bows and waits for Tempus before heading back down the street.
Tempus is going to give the prince a very informal clap on the shoulder and wish him luck, and I'm going to follow Ysmyr.
He follows your lead and returns the gesture. So where are you two headed off to now?
Tempus, remember when I was telling everyone I need to find a weapon?
Nope, I'm not sure you mentioned that to me.
Oh, was he unconscious?
Party was split at that point in time.
Or I wasn't paying attention.
Well, I need to find a well-made or preferably exquisite weapon. You just, at some point while we're selling or going shopping, I could use some help looking. And you also have the coin we found, which I may need to do so.
Of course, war leader. All of these funds are yours as the leader of our warband. If I might make a small suggestion.
Of course.
I hope to talk to the city guard captain. I believe he may be able to aid us in this regard.
All right. What else was on our list? And depending on that, either we'll meet up with the others or we can do this before we do so.
Aside from that, Tempus really only wanted to go to the Duck. He wanted to go to the Explorers Guild and see if he could find his dad.
All right. Well, do you want to quickly go to the guild and then go to the city guard?
Yep. Following your lead.
Let's actually go to the temple, see where the others are at, and let them know what we're doing. If they are ready to go somewhere else, we can all go together.
Okay, so we'll hustle to catch up with the rest of the party then.
The rest of the party arrives at the temple to Pelor.
Well, Miri,
Do we have Miri?
I'm here.
Okay, you have arrived at the temple of Pelor.
I'm gonna track down the head of the temple to explain the whole thing with the tablets.
You find your mother, and she's sitting at the desk that the head of the temple usually sits at, and she says, "My child returns to Nordgard. Tell me, what news is there from the Temple of the Sun?"
Unfortunately, a lot of sadness. The temple is now empty.
Jondalar is dead?
Yes.
He was old, but are you certain he cannot be saved?
There is nothing that can be done for a sword through the heart.
Oh, child, you are young. You may not know of ways that I do.
Mother, I buried him, and there were undead. I buried him and made certain that he cannot be brought back in the path of darkness.
Did you burn his body?
I did not have a way to do that.
Then perhaps it is not too late. I think perhaps a trip to the Temple of the Sun would be in order for me, and I shall see what I can do to bring him back.
Is your magic working?
It is.
I'm gonna try a light spell.
Nothing happens.
Yet hers is working.
how is your magic back?
The gods smile upon us once more, child. Don't fret. I will travel with the others of the temple of with the others to the Temple of the Sun and find Jondalar. It will be a test of my faith to see if I can return him to us.
Do you have good warriors with you to make sure that the dead don't take yous?
We are a dozen strong clerics. We shall be fine.
What do I roll to test the truth of this?
You can give me an insight check.
Okay.
Can I see if something's up? I've only met this lady once before, but does she seem the same?
You don't really know Miri's mother, but the last time that you saw her, she was quite depressed and distraught, and she seems much calmer and even happier now. Miri, you're not detecting anything untoward.
Which is weird because everything about this feels wrong.
I want to do an insight on this because this doesn't jive.
Your character doesn't detect anything wrong.
Can I detect whether any undead are present in this room with primeval awareness? As an action, I'm going to expend one ranger spell slot, 1 minute per level of spell slot, to sense whether any aberrations, celestials, dragons, element, fae, fiend, or undead are present within 1 mile of you or within up to 6 miles if I'm in my favored terrain. It doesn't reveal the location or number.
That's going to backfire. I count as partly celestial, I think.
But I'll find out about that shortly.
You do detect Miri as a celestial. And you also detect undead in the city, not necessarily here, but within the range of your spell.
1 mile, yep.
And KTR, you're not picking up anything from Miri's mother either.
Miri, maybe you should show your mum the tablets?
I'm not sure I want to bring them in right now, but I will tell her that we found them. Mother, in the temple, we found something I think is of worth, and that I was told is of worth. Tablets which state, Sorrow is great, Lord of light, scourge of the undead, may his light shine forever. Battle the undead at every turn. Face death knowing that your place in the heavens is assured. The life of an elf is short in comparison to the eternal beyond. Force back the darkness, for once the light is snuffed, it cannot be relit.
And you think these have meaning?
You don't?
I don't know. The name Sharo is unknown to me.
An ancient elvish god of light.
Then it would make sense that they were found in an ancient elvish temple.
Yes.
However, as you may recall, the elves in that temple worship Corlin. I'm not certain that this Sharo matters much at all.
And you worship Foltus. Does that mean that Pelor matters not at all? That Corlin matters not at all? That other aspects of the light don't matter?
Other aspects of the light are none of my concern. I follow but one god.
And this is just starting to sound more and more off.
As long as you've known her, she had only ever worshipped Foltus. She didn't worship Palor. Palor is a completely separate entity that other people worship. So it's nothing new that she would just worship one god.
And yet mine is a completely different type of faith, apparently. Okay.
Now, you say you'd never heard of Sharo. Is there no word or anything about an ancient elfish god from before Palor?
Not that I'm aware of.
Palor's not an elvish god.
My apologies, Miri. Thank you for the correction. All right, then. Could it be that it's just for elves alone, and that's why it hasn't come to this city?
I know not. That is entirely possible, however.
Mother, why are you here?
Where else would I be? This is my home.
Was she head of the temple?
No,
Why are you here at the temple head's desk?
I'm afraid it has fallen upon me to lead the faithful now.
Why?
The leadership had an unfortunate change when the undead attacked.
I don't imagine very many of Foltus's followers would have gone out knowing that our magic wasn't working.
He insisted that if he traveled with the priests of Torm, he might learn a new faith, and I'm not sure if he did before the end.
Something is wrong. And maybe it's something Miri can't quite put her finger on, but something's off. And I just don't have the dice rolls to identify what's off.
If you wish, perhaps the Temple of Torm would be interested in these tablets that you've found. And in the meantime, I shall return to the Temple of the Sun and see what I can do.
I would advise against that. It's over a day's journey, through all the snow,
I've been there many times. I know the way.
to a place that's now deserted and crumbling. And there are undead walking the paths outside the city.
And yet, you arrived well and unharmed.
I was accompanied by several others whose magics are not affected.
And so shall I be.
Ryan, when they were listing whose magic was working, I thought Torm's was the only one they mentioned was still somewhat. Or am I mixing that up?
Torm's is beginning to fail. Yondala and Oladamara are still working.
Right, but she's saying Faustus's is still working.
Foltus's, which wasn't before.
She's saying hers is still working. She hasn't claimed it was Faustus's yet, has she?
My mom is a cleric of Foltus.
In this conversation, she hasn't claimed that the magic she can now do is of Faustus, has she?
Yes, and I think that's the piece that's bothering me.
I'm asking Ryan, in the conversation we've had so far, I don't recall that, has she?
If you don't recall it, perhaps there's a reason you don't recall it.
Thank you.
Mother, if your magic is working, show me. Can you cast a light spell, just to prove to me that your magic is working?
Of course, child. And she casts a light spell. Yeah, it works.
Does it feel the same as usual, or can I not sense that?
I mean, it's just a light spell. It doesn't look any different than usual.
So, Foltus will talk to you again.
The answer is before you. I have shown you that I have regained my powers.
So Foltus will talk to you again?
Indeed.
You're skirting the question.
I gave you a direct answer.
Is it Foltus that's giving you your powers or not? Let's just get it on the table.
Yes.
Yet I'm still getting no response.
I'd like to see if she's being truthful. Can I use insight to do so?
Yes, you can.
I want to throw an insight in there as well.
Okay.
Can I also reroll an insight on that?
Yes, this is a separate incident of wanting to roll insight.
Don't forget you have inspiration if you want to use it.
I would like to, but I don't remember how.
You just tell me that you want to, and you get a second roll. You're basically rolling advantage.
Okay, I'll roll again.
The dice just hate me tonight.
She's telling the truth.
Thank you.
Miri, as far as you're concerned, Foltus is giving her power and not giving it to you.
Which seems very strange. I have gotten just enough gun shy that I don't want to leave the tablets here.
Perhaps the Temple of Torm would welcome these tablets and find some use for them.
I think I'd find myself more inclined to take them to a Temple of Coralon.
Whichever you prefer.
Well, it was good to see you again. I'm glad that you're well.
And it is excellent to see you in good health as well. Thank you for the information about Jondalar, and hopefully I will be able to restore him.
I'm not entirely sure he would want to be restored.
I'm not sure he would want to be dead.
Mother, he has lost everyone that he knew.
Not us.
Mother, sometime it is time to simply accept the death of a loved one. I thought that you knew that, because initially you were the one who taught me that.
Initially, I did not have the power to return people from the beyond. Now I do, and if I can, I will.
Yaereene inches away from her.
Miri just kind of stands there gaping for a minute. That's not the kind of power an average healer cleric gains. One who stays put in the town and works on healing. This is not the sort of power that her mother ought to have. Something has gone seriously amiss, and now she's freaked out. Perhaps that power could be better put to use in other places.
The clerics of Yondala have everything in hand here. Bringing back an ancient voice with so much knowledge of history cannot be a bad thing. Jondalar could be extremely helpful to us yet.
Miri, we should go.
Aye, lass, it's no use bashing heads.
Yes, I think we should go. Goodbye, Mother.
Farewell. And you guys leave the temple. Tempus and Ysmyr. You are walking through Nordgard when a shadowy figure emerges from an alleyway. A huge hulking man covered in a cloak. And he pulls it back and smiles, revealing missing teeth. And Tempus, you recognize him as Gorold.
Is he barring our path or, behaving aggressively?
He's just kind of standing there and staring at you as you walk.
I'm going to ignore him and keep walking with Ysmyr towards the temple to catch up with the rest of the party. I'm not even going to give him the benefit of acknowledging him. Just walk on past.
Assuming Ysmyr sees him too, she'll just continue to do that. She has no fight with him.
As you walk by him, he says, "Would have been better if you'd stayed out of town."
I'm going to just give him a look, and I'm going to say, "I beg your pardon?"
I said, "Would have been better if you'd stayed out of town."
And who are you?
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're going to play that way, are you? He snaps his finger. You see 4 other figures emerge from the dark alley to stand beside him.
How close are we to the temple?
Not that close.
Well, let's run.
Good luck.
I'm going to yank off my towel, throw it in his general direction, and take off running with Ysmyr towards the temple.
A couple of more people walk out in front of you, cutting off the road.
I'm not stopping, so can I make an athletics check to bowl them over and clear a path that Ysmyr and I can continue through?
Initiative.
Well, we did split the party.
Well, we did walk out of the temple.
But we're probably not right there in eyesight. You might have to hear us first. Or come looking.
I was debating suggesting that we head back towards the barracks area, since that was where we last knew that the other 2 were.
Ysmyr, you see a couple of people in the road ahead of you, and they're brandishing daggers. They're not moving aggressively towards you, they're just standing there.
She will quickly cast Mirror Image. With that, keep running, and she'll give herself a berth, but the other 3 images will hopefully keep going straight. So it'll look like a straight line is running towards the guys.
So you're trying to run between them?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's building, a little gap, a guy, a little gap, a guy, building.
Yep.
She's going to go between the guy in the building on the right.
He makes no move to stop you as you run past him. He doesn't attack or anything.
She's going to keep going as long as she knows Tempus is there.
Tempus. Gorold comes up behind you, and he gets right up behind you, but he doesn't attack. He just whispers, "I don't want your money." And the other cloaked figures close in around you as well, not leaving any gaps between them.
May I use my reaction to bring my halberd down on Gorold's head?
No, because that...
I'm sorry, he has to leave my threatened zone. I remember now.
So you're basically surrounded by these 7 figures. but none of them have attacked you.
Okay.
And it's your turn.
Ysmyr's free and clear. And there's only 7? You think so little of me. I'm going to rage and take my best shot with my halberd at Gorold.
KTR, no, you guys are still in the temple when this is happening.
Okay, I have still 1 level of exhaustion, so do I have disadvantage on my attacks or just on ability checks?
Just on ability checks.
Cool. Not making it reckless, but here goes the roll. Sad Tempus is sad.
Ysmyr, you see Tempus take a swing at Gorold, who just kind of sidesteps the attack, and it's your turn.
So they're not paying attention to her, are they?
Not even a little bit. And they also haven't attacked Tempus.
How far away is the temple?
Probably another 5 minutes away, walking.
Can she get, I guess, a insight or a perception check on these guys just to try and figure out what they're out to do?
Yep.
Doesn't matter which?
Give me insight. As an officer of the law, you don't get the sense that they want to fight him right now. They have the weapons more in a defensive stance, and they're not looking to break any laws right now.
That in mind, she'll get just a little closer so Tempus can hopefully still see her and listen, and she'll just call out, "Just hear what they have to say." And for now, can she hold her... I guess she can't hold an action sheet. Her perception was holding one, right?
That's right.
That's all she can do for now. She's not going to run off without Tempus, though. So
Gorold grins at the attack and says, "You keep doing that, you're going to wind up with the city guard taking you in. I lost everything that day. The townsfolk laugh at me now. I was fired as a bouncer because people don't take me seriously anymore. I scraped together everything I have for this moment. After tonight, people will fear the name Gorold, and if people speak of me, it will be in whispered terror, not jeering laughter." The people with Gorold do not attack. They hold their actions. Tempus, it's your turn.
They didn't attack me?
Nope.
So that technically means my rage just ended.
Sure does.
I'm going to eye down Gorold, and I'm going to ready an action to whack the first one that comes at me with my halberd. And I'm just going to say, "What's happening tonight?"
You'll find out in the morning.
Can I get an insight roll on that?
Yeah, you don't pick up anything. Like, he's obviously threatening that something's going to happen tonight, but whether it's to you, you don't even know. But he grins again, and he says, "I'll take out one of your tusks eventually. But first, your ridiculous hype master will be singing a new sort of tune come morning. Just thought I'd give you a heads up." And he chuckles, and him and his cronies all start to leave.
Tempus is going to look around at them, bewildered that they're not attacking or fighting. And he is just going to stand there staring at Gorold and just utterly boiling that he would be so disrespected and so disregarded. And by the time he turns back to Ysmyr, he looks like he's about ready to go into a frothing rage, albeit without actually using one of his rages.
What did he say?
He threatened to touch my elf.
Which one?
Yes.
I'm going to need a little more than that, Tempus.
I'm going to relay what he said, and then I'm going to ask her permission to go back there and burn the city down, murdering him.
No.
Then let us be on our way. And I'm going to pout the rest of the way to the temple to find the party.
All right. Well, clearly the threat is at least to us, but I don't trust. If he wants to make the whole city scared, you want to go to the guards, we're going to have to talk to them.
No, I'd much rather just eat him right here, right now.
I know, and maybe you'll get your chance.
There's only 7 of them, and there's 2 of us.
You don't know how many there actually are.
I'll take 3, you can have 4. This is my gift to you.
No.
Pout.
And they've gone back down the alleys out of sight.
Choices are follow them or go get the others. But I don't want to fight.
I am following your lead, war leader.
Let's go find the others.
You guys get to the temple just as the others are coming out of the temple.
Well, how is your stuff?
Not great.
Yeah.
Same.
So, y'all remember, what's his name? Goral? Whatever? The one Tempus beat up to get Haunch and Chewy?
Oh dear, now what?
We'll relay the situation back to the party and just especially warn Katiara that he seemed very interested in taking revenge on you.
Well, I can understand that because I made him look like the ass he is.
But I'm also worried that since he wants the city scared of him, he's got something planned for the city. So I want to go to the city guard and have them do something about that. And then there's too many things.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll nip in. Are we close to the inn yet?
Yeah, you guys are right across the street from the inn.
I need to nip in and talk to the widow.
Sure.
I walk away from the group and I come in. I look around. What do I see once I'm inside the door of the inn?
You see an elf who appears to be a noble, given his cloth of gold that he's wearing. His face is powdered and painted, and he's standing behind the bar with his fingers laced together and quirks his eyebrow at you.
G'day. Where's the widow?
We'll get to that. I've been looking for you these past days after hearing about your stunt at the mule dealer. By making some inquiries around town, I learned that you were employed at the Lock and Key, a fine establishment indeed, and I am proud to own it. I was deeply saddened to hear of Raylene's passing and the awful manner of his death. In speaking with Inise, it sounds as though you were instrumental in helping her get back on her feet, and I must let you know how much I appreciate that before I say what must be said next. In the time between Raylene's death and Inise thinking clearly, a bag of expensive merchandise went missing from the Lock and Key. When Inise questioned her usual customers, one of them said that you sold him some. Tell me, is this the case?
I think first off, I need to know your name. And then secondly, I need to know where Inise is and why you own her inn.
Of course. I am Luriel Heartbane, noble of Nordgard. Inise is at another establishment of mine, and I have always owned this inn. I'm not one to run such things myself, but Raylene and Inise have made adequate day-to-day representatives for my interests until recently.
Now, where is Inise? Because I don't want to talk to you until I've talked to her.
His countenance darkens, and he says, I already told you she is at one of my other establishments, and you are not in a position to know where that is yet. Perhaps if we get along amicably, I will send you there, and you can see her. For now, answer my question. Did you sell him joy?
I tell you what, I have no idea if what this joy is yours. I do know that it was found in here and distributed here. And so that means I need to talk to her about who I should give it to if I do happen to have it.
He slams his fist on the bar and says, the reason it is here is because I made it so. And you see him shake his head and put a pinky finger in a bag at his belt. And you see the green powder come up to his lips, and he takes a taste, sighs, says, my apologies. I sometimes get a little worked up when people don't listen to me.
See, I think that's part of the problem, isn't it? That it seems to have more of a grip on you than you have a grip on it, that dust.
No, it simply helps me calm down and refocus my attention. Now that my attention is refocused, was it you who was selling joy?
I'll not play dance around the bay polo with you anymore. It was. I knew not what it was. The person was being an ass. I finally figured out what he wanted, but now I wanted to talk and give it back to her. Because as far as I knew, It was between her and her husband.
Well now, surely you can understand my confusion when someone who is not an associate of mine is selling my product. It raises certain uncomfortable questions, and I do hate feeling distressed in any way.
You know, you don't need to feel distressed because it's still your product. I have no idea of what it is or how to make it, and I have no inclination towards it.
He holds out a fragment of parchment towards you.
And what be that?
He waits for you to take it.
I reach out my hand, gently take it, shake it, and try to take a look at it from a distance.
It's an address to a location in the southwest part of town. I suggest you visit my associate, Belshazzar. She's partaken of too much joy over the course of her tenure and is highly paranoid, so do tell her I sent you before she gets the chance to do something rather rash.
What exactly am I supposed to do with this dear associate of yours?
She'll find a use for you.
The problem is I'm busy trying to save the bleeding world from the undead horde. Is it really only me that can do it?
No, that's not your main problem at the moment. Trust me.
Are you threatening me?
My dear sir, someone in my position does not have to threaten. And he walks around from behind the bar, smiles at you, and walks out the door.
Okay, Ryan, do I actually know the location of this place he talked to me about?
You know it's in the south end, which is a pretty dicey slum area.
Okay, I walk out to the rest of the group. I need to be off by myself. There's a few complications. You all do what you need to do, and I'll meet up with you on the north end of the city after I take care of my own business.
Not after that threat we got towards you earlier.
Oh, I'm very strained. Who would want to harm such a wonderful musician and good person?
Gorold, he told us so.
Well, I'm sure we don't need to have a full escort around me. Is there... Oh, bloody hell. You're not going to listen, are you? All right, let me come clean. You recall that green dust I got? Turns out that it's some freaking high nobles, little pharmaceutical, and now I've got to take care of somebody in the southwest part of the city that's partaken too much of it, or he'll kill me or give me grief, or make it difficult for us to get our objective done. I was hoping I could do it by myself. I don't really like splitting the party other than myself because, well, it's just silly. So I need to go down there, find out what the hell's going on, give over the drug, get the hell out of here, and we can get back to taking care of the real business. Okay?
We're still working our way around the city. I'm sure one more stop won't hurt.
Well, I just really hate slowing down you all on my business, because I was silly.
I don't know what's best here right now.
I don't... Alright, so where is Yaereene's family at?
Her family is north, the north end of the city, fairly close to where the army barracks is.
I would say visiting Yaereene's family is bottom of our list right now.
You guys did the check-in with the army barracks, right?
Drop the prince off, yeah. But we want to go talk to the city guard.
Okay, is going to the city guard away from my drug hookup or closer to it?
It's definitely in the opposite direction.
Is my drug hookup the furthest from everything else?
It's fairly close to where you are now, but it's far away from all the other objectives. It's like in the opposite direction.
All right, I need to go south. It's not a good part of town, but at the same time, the rest of the party doesn't need to keep up with me. Do we split the party or do we stay together?